Good evening, darlings, and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Thranduil. Now, I've gotten a lot of cooking requests, so it's probably going to be generally about what we're going to be doing. I do have another few questions that I've received as well, so we'll be sort of getting to them rather slowly at first, but perhaps if I continue to get them, we'll sort of move a little bit more quickly through them. So now that that's done, let's get into the cooking. So this is from Tumblr user the one and only Kitty Girl, who asked if I could do sort of a something that's sort of a regional dish. And so I decided one of my absolute favorite things, it's not sort of the season right now for it, but it will be again soon, is something that's very popular, particularly in late summer and early fall. So actually, we're really the exact opposite part of the year right now. But it's ramen salad. Now, this sounds very, very strange. Ramen salad, these are two very different things. Ramen is known from, I think, most people as sort of a very instant, unhealthy food, and salad, of course, is supposed to be a very healthy food. What I'd like to sort of talk about briefly before we start getting into the ingredients and all is that some of the most famous ramen in all of Japan is the Sapporo ramen, and Sapporo, of course, is the largest city in the prefecture of Hokkaido, which is, of course, the second largest island of Japan. So, I do have some lovely Sapporo ramen. I do prefer fresh, personally. Frozen, just, it's sort of the water really changes it. But I do like this brand. It's rather inexpensive, and it comes with 3-person servings. I think most of the fresh ones, if you get the single packs, they tend to have 2 to 4-person servings. And this dish also incorporates something else Hokkaido is very famous for, which is, of course, corn. Now, this may seem as a surprise because I think a lot of Americans sort of assume that they are the center of corn, which, of course, historically, corn does come from the Americas, so there's a reason there. But Hokkaido is very famous for its corn production in Japan, so that's also included. Usually, as far as what the salad greens are going to be, it's usually a combination of shredded lettuce, cucumbers, carrots, regular like romaine or iceberg lettuce. It tends to be a mix of those things. And then chicken, and it's usually just sort of a boiled chicken, or sometimes, if you're lucky, roasted chicken that's been shredded up. And then, of course, a hard-boiled egg that's been sliced. And you serve all of the salad on top of the ramen noodles, which tastes best if the ramen is hot and the salad is cold. And then to top it all off, you put a nice slathering of goma, which is a type of sesame dressing. And I like to include a little bit of avocado because I just, I can't resist avocado. It's just one of those things, and the vitamin E is so good for your skin. Now, I did go ahead and sort of prep a lot of things beforehand. So the corn is already ready, the chicken is already ready. I've already got the greens because these things take a lot of time. And I sort of want to get into more of just how to put it together, because I think, honestly, most people can put together a salad even if they've never picked up a knife in their lives. But I think what's important is sort of the layering if you're doing it, and of course it is difficult to get the timing of sort of the ramen. So you do want to go ahead and start by hard boiling your eggs. Now, some people do this at the same time as the ramen, and I've done it before, but sometimes your ramen gets overcooked that way. So what you can do is, typically a boiled egg should be in there for about 12 minutes in the boiling water. So what you can do is, about halfway through, throw your ramen in, and then you can take that out so that things sort of go at the same time. But then you have the problem of peeling these little suckers while they're still very hot. So I think really most of this video is going to be how to make hard-boiled eggs. So I do apologize, of course, for that, darling. So let's go ahead and start our water, because, of course, that's really the most of the cooking that's involved here is the actual boiling of the water. So If you're doing all of it from scratch yourself, I would say start to wash and dry your lettuce first, because of course that takes the most time and it's such a pain, isn't it? Such a pain. I also recommend, if you are doing this, to pick up it can even be cheap, this is just a very cheap ceramic bladed mandolin. Now be very, very careful and be sure to use, they do come with guards, which I highly recommend you use the guard once you get about half or 3/4 the way through your vegetable, but it cuts it very nice and thin, which is typically how the vegetables are sliced for this. And then the other nice thing about it is that it's very fast, which is part of why it's dangerous, because you just go for it and it goes down very quickly. So if you are using a mandolin, please, please, please be careful, darlings. It really can be very dangerous as much as it is convenient. But that's typically how I do it. Of course, it gives you these nice little slices. You can see the radish this is the largest setting. I like them a little bit thicker, you know, but it gives you a nice even slice, and I think it's just better that way. So the water is going, and then once it comes up to a boil, we'll be putting our little eggs in and letting them go. And actually what I'm going to do is, as soon as the eggs are done, I'm going to put them in to cool, and then using the water that's still hot, cook the ramen then, because it takes usually about 5 minutes. This brand recommends 3.5 minutes. So you can do that, and then just serve everything all at once. If you do have a chicken breast, which I find is usually the easiest, to just get a chicken breast and you can do all the spices you want with that and then slice it up. You know, just have everything prepped before the noodles are done. I think once everything is finished, that's when you do your noodles, and then you cut your avocado so that it's at its best, and then the timing works out perfectly. So that's the setup for everything. We're going to go ahead and do all this, and we'll get back to it in just a minute, darlings. See you soon. Alright, darlings, so the water is boiling. We've got everything else cut up, so it's time to go ahead and get our ramen into the water. So go ahead. Now, a one-person portion is about this much ramen, and you want to make sure as you're getting it in that you sort of shake it out a little bit, because you don't want it to sort of clump together. It tastes absolutely horrible if you do it that way. And it doesn't cook evenly, which is the most important thing, of course. Now, I'll say this, the nice thing about Ramen Salad is that depending on sort of what you're doing with yourself, you can sort of make things ahead of time. So you could have all of your salad things ready. You could have your chicken cut in the fridge, because of course, you know, chicken tastes good cold, like a chicken breast, a nice roasted chicken breast tastes good cold or hot. So you can have everything prepared except for the noodles. In just a large container, and then throughout the week you can just sort of make yourself bowls as you like, because of course the ramen takes 2 to 3 minutes to heat up, and as soon as it's hot you want to throw it in to your bowl, throw everything on top and eat it just like that. So really it's one of those things that it takes a little bit of time for prep, of course, because it takes, you know, time to boil the eggs and it takes time to cut all your vegetables. But if you have it all pre-ready, and I hear some people go ahead and they do the whole, you know, the bagged pre-cut lettuce stuff. I sort of don't go for that because it's not very environmentally friendly. But if that is something that you're happy to do, it's certainly much easier. You can just keep the bag of pre-shredded vegetables already there in the fridge, and then all you have to do is open the bag and put it on top of your noodles. If you have pieces of chicken, you know, you can just slice chicken. You can just go ahead and also do the same thing with that. Throw them together on top of your 3 minutes of cooking. I mean, this is a very easy meal to make, and I find that because it has the noodles in them, and the ramen noodles are an egg noodles, so that they are fairly filling. So I usually will have, if it's a breakfast meal or lunch, I'll just have one bowl. At dinner, sometimes, I'm feeling a little peckish after going through the whole day, or I'm having it with a glass of wine, so I do want a little more. But 2 bowls is the max. I can't eat more than 2 bowls, and typically the second bowl has almost no noodles in it. It's mostly just salad with a hint of noodle in it, to be honest. And also the goma dressing, the sesame dressing, tends to fill me up as well. So it's sort of a nice way to get all of your food groups together. You have your protein from your eggs and your chicken. You have your vegetables. If you want, you can do sort of cherry tomatoes, I've heard, and the avocado. So technically those are fruits that you can have in there. And I've heard of people doing this, although I don't know if I'm sort of ready to commit, but I've heard of sort of mango slices also going in it as sort of a way to make it more summery, or slices of citrus, I think orange or grapefruit I've heard. That's a great way to sort of give yourself that third food group. And of course you have your grains with your noodles, so it really does fill a lot of those things up. And of course you have the oil in your dressing. I find that this meal is very vitamin rich, so that's all good. You can't really go wrong with that. So it's just such a delightful meal. So looks like the noodles are ready. So let me get this one up here. All right, strain our noodles. All right. And then I was so busy talking, I did not cut the avocado. So let's go ahead and cut that now. Go ahead. Now, please do be careful with the pit around the avocado, not to cut yourself. I say mostly for myself because, Alright, darling, so let's get our bowl together. So I like to use a large bowl because the ramen is going to take up a lot of space, but the lettuce always takes up a little space as well. So I like to go ahead, let's get the noodles in here. And you want to sort of make a nice little spot on the bottom, sort of a nest for your salad to go atop. So sort of you can see just a nice little space there. Then you want to go ahead and throw your salad greens in there. Just the tongs here. There we go. Which is going to completely cover up your noodles, which is absolutely fine. And then you want to go ahead and put on some chicken. And we'll do some slices of egg. Not too many though. It is dinner, so I will have 2 bowls, so I don't want to put too much on. And then, oh, of course, your corn. Nice little sprinkle of that. This is the good Hokkaido corn too. It's nice and sweet. And then let's get some slice of avocado on here. Which of course, again, avocado is not traditional on this salad. It's just sort of a me thing, you don't have to put it. Oh, and I should take this moment to mention also, for those out there that are pescatarian, of course Hokkaido is famous for its salmon, so I have heard of a smoked or grilled spiced salmon being used in place of the chicken on it. Absolutely delicious. Or even you could just do some nice grilled tofu, as long as you get a nice good spice on it. Okay. So before the dressing, it sort of looks like that. Nice mix all around. And then I just bought store-bought as being a little bit cheap. I wanted to do this quickly. Just a nice drizzle of dressing on top. And then, of course, what's going to happen is you're going to want to give a nice stir. You can see it sort of sits there on the top. You want to sort of stir that on, and because your noodles are fresh out, they will actually, as you stir it, absorb the flavor of the sesame seeds, and it's just absolutely wonderful, darlings. I really do recommend it. So treat yourself. If you really like the goma, just go wild, just smother it, drown the noodles in it if you like. But it's such a nice healthy way, unless of course you like to drown your noodles in sesame. It's just a nice healthy way of sort of getting yourself a nice balanced meal, and it's very light, so if you have sort of exercise or a lot of running around to do, it's not going to sit heavy in your stomach. It's going to be just sort of something to energize you throughout the day. I will say I typically like to have it sort of as a brunch meal. I find it's really good for that. But if I just want a light dinner and I just need a quick pick-me-up, I think it's absolutely perfect for that, so you can go ahead and do that. So thank you again so much, darling, for asking for sort of a regional dish for Hokkaido. There's a lot of other regional dishes, so if I run through the requests, I can sort of get back to some more regional Hokkaido cooking. So until then, darlings, cheers and ta-ta.